Alrighty, peeps, this is going to be the most succinct summary of day 3 of the Michael Roman, Donald Trump et al. Motion to disqualify Fani Willis and Nathan Wade from the prosecution of the Georgia RICO case. It was something of a surprise hearing that was called yesterday, Monday, February 26, by Judge Scott McAfee. And I say sort of out of the blue because, just to backtrack a little bit, we had 2 days of evidentiary hearing where we heard testimony from Ms. Yurdy, who loaned out her condo to Fani Willis, who testified under oath that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade started dating before the contract was awarded to him by Fani Willis, allegedly bypassing some Georgia laws and ethics as relates to disclosures of conflicts of interest, whatever. Fani Willis says that she only romantically got with Nathan Wade after the contract was secured with him, but before the renewal of that contract under which he got more hours. Doesn't matter. She says that she did not give him the contract when they had already become engaged in a sexual relationship, because everyone can sort of understand that that would be a conflict of interest, or at the very least an appearance of conflict of interest. So on day 1, Yurdy testified, yeah, they were knocking boots before she gave him that first contract.
Yes.
Now, did you also have observations of Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis together prior to November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
Nathan Wade testified, Fani Willis testified so well that she did not come back for day 2 of her testimony. And then we have Mr. Terrence Bradley. Terrence Bradley, for those of you who need the refresher, was Nathan Wade's business partner of the Bradley Campbell, Wade law firm. He was the former attorney for Nathan Wade in the context of Nathan Wade's divorce from Jocelyn Wade. And he was also one of the recipients of the contracts from Fani Willis. Oh yeah, and he's also a former friend of Nathan Wade, as he now found out. In the first 2 days of the hearing, he was being asked questions on correspondence that he had with Ashley Merchant, attorney for Michael Roman, who brought this entire motion. Ashley Merchant discovered some information in the context of Nathan Wade's divorce from Jocelyn Wade as relates to the relationship that he had entered into with Fani Willis that creates the conflict of interest in this file, procurement of benefits, gifts from Nathan Wade, who she's paying, and then Nathan Wade takes her on these, pretty lavish vacations, cruises, etc. So there's a conflict of interest there in that Fani Willis, other than bypassing certain regulations, rules, ethics, as relates to hiring a man that she was allegedly sexually involved with, is procuring gifts and benefits from him. And so Ashley Merchant's like, this is a conflict of interest. We're going to make a motion to disqualify Nathan Wade and Fani Willis from this trial. She then goes to Terrence Bradley, former friend, former business partner, former attorney for Nathan Wade, and says, look, I've come across all this information and I'm making a motion to disqualify. Can you look it over and make sure that everything in there is accurate? And now, we didn't know this until today, but we sort of had a good idea. Terrence Bradley was saying, I am not answering any questions on my text messages between me and you, Ashley Merchant, because it would involve me disclosing solicitor-client privilege that I have had with Nathan Wade. And she's like, well, you texted me all this stuff. It's kind of too late. And there was a whole debate during the first 2 days. And he was raising privilege. No, I can't answer this question on these text messages. No, I can't answer that. No, I can't tell you when I became aware of their relationship because it would violate solicitor-client privilege. And then you'll recall at the end of day 2, Anna Cross, the attorney for the state, destroys Terrence Bradley for no good reason and calls into question Terrence Bradley's invoking privilege as to why he left Nathan Wade's law firm. And after it became clear that while he had invoked privilege to not explain why he left Nathan Wade's law firm, he actually had no legitimate basis to invoke it. It allegedly resulted from alleged sexual assault on an employee, and he was told to leave. He left $20,000 in escrow that was paid to the employee to compensate her, silence her, whatever. After it became clear that Terrence Bradley was invoking privilege unwarrantedly in terms of not answering questions on why he left the firm, Scott McAfee says, well, if you've been wrongly invoking privilege there, I think you might have been wrongly invoking privilege in refusing to answer when you became aware of when Nathan Wade and Fani Willis got involved in a sexual relationship. And so the judge said, we're going to hold an in-camera review to go over these text messages to see if they are in fact privileged, such that you don't have to answer the question on them. In the meantime, and I covered this in a video, Nathan Wade comes out with an emergency motion, says, no, Your Honor, you can't even look at those text messages in confidence because they're privileged and it's unpermitted. Unpermitted. It's not permitted by law. Well, apparently the judge did not give much weight to that motion and looked it over and said, all right, some of these text messages are not in fact covered by privilege. And you're going to have to come back, Terrence, and answer questions on those, but only as relates to your knowledge of when Nathan Wade and Fani Willis started dating. Specifically because in text messages between him, Terrence Bradley, and Ashley Merchant, he said, yes, the information in this motion to disqualify is correct and accurate. They've been dating since he was or she was a municipal or magistrate judge, which was 2019 and not 2022 after the contract was given to Nathan Wade by Fani Willis in November of 2021. So he says, you can come back now. This was scheduled for today. And you're going to answer questions because privilege doesn't apply to your knowledge as to when the relationship started. Suffice to say that over the last week and a half, Terrence Bradley, whether or not he had some coaching, he seemed like he was highly coached in how to answer these very thorny questions as relates to his confirmation as to when the relationship started. But before we even get there, the hearing today, 3 hours plus long. Magnificent. I'll put some highlights either in this vlog or at the end of it. Notable as to who was there and who wasn't there. Fani Willis was not there. Anna Cross, the attorney who opened up this entire can of worms, also not there. Who was there? Nathan Wade was there. Nathan Wade was there, and as I observed at the time, at some point during the testimony, was standing up, staring down at Terrence Bradley on the stand. I won't say menacingly because that's subjective, but definitely staring him down.
A question was put to you, Mr. Bradley.
Judge, one of my lawyers is sitting right in the back. That's behind.
Why is Nathan
Look
standing
wherever
there?
you want.
Yeah, and I never looked at Mr. Wade or his attorneys. That sounds true.
Why is Nathan Wade standing
Mr.
up?
Bradley, question was put to you.
Repeat the question, please.
In fact, he was staring him down for a good portion of his testimony, as we saw from a few moments where they panned to the room and saw Nathan Wade in the courtroom.
When you responded, doesn't surprise me. They took many trips to Florida, Texas, California. Those are your words, though, right?
I'm going to object as to relevance. He said he did not know, and he actually learned from Ms. Merchant the information.
And then I guess after Nathan Wade got the assurance that Terrence was going to play ball and not rat him out, Nathan Wade was gone. He was gone this afternoon. He saw enough to know that Terrence was going to testify the way he did, probably coached by whomever, and Nathan Wade left.
Those particular parts, given the witness's testimony, should be admitted to substance evidence.
What did Terrence Bradley testify to today? It's quite clear that he had some time to think about his answers and to refresh his memory as to what he did not remember. It was wild. I mean, at one point, Terrence Bradley actually said, I do not recall why I didn't tell you that I did not recall. Because bottom line, what happens is this. Ashley Merchant is asking him these text messages between me and you. You confirmed the accuracy and the information in the motion to disqualify. I said, does everything look good in here? And you said, yes, but you even had a correction in this. You said, you asked me to make one correction to the contract that you got through Fani Willis. You reviewed it. You said it looks good. You confirmed that they were dating not when he was a municipal judge, but a magistrate judge. And you said, yes, everything else looks good in here. Terrence Bradley, now having been thoroughly coached and thoroughly prepped, he says, oh, yeah. When I said everything looks good in that motion to disqualify, I meant only as relates to the one element I asked you to change, that being the amount of money I got from my contract with Fani Willis. I wasn't commenting on the rest of the motion to disqualify that I reviewed and said was accurate and actually added details to. And then Ashley Merchant, or the lawyer for Trump, at one point says, you specifically said that he was the magistrate judge and not a municipal judge. I forget which way it goes, but it doesn't really matter. You specifically offered a detail, a factual element that no one asked you for. Why? And he literally says, well, I had no reason to know any of that. It was all hearsay. I had no personal knowledge of the date that they started dating. And I don't know why I offered that information. I don't know why I didn't just say, I don't recall. That was literally his testimony. And he said, yeah, I've only had one discussion with Nathan Wade as to when he started dating Fani Willis. I only had one discussion with him. And the lawyer for Trump, he's a great lawyer, got down to it, but that was after Ashley Merchant did the bulk of the legwork, examined him for an hour and a half. He says, you started representing Nathan Wade in the context of his divorce in what, 2018? Yeah. And you represented him until what, give or take 2022? Yeah. About 4 years of representation of Nathan Wade, and you had one conversation about when he started dating Fani Willis, and to which Terrence Bradley says, yeah.
The only thing I'm asking about is that area that the court said is not privileged.
You represented him for
relationship
3
between
years?
Mr. Wade and Miss Willis.
And you had one conversation?
You've testified that during the time you represented Mr. Wade,
Yes.
from 2018 on,
Bring it, Sado.
that you only had one conversation with him in reference to the relationship between Miss Willis and Mr. Wade.
That was
Is
your
correct?
testimony, correct?
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate, yes.
Okay, so out of the entire time, I'm talking about could be 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. When did you stop representing Mr. Wade?
It was a few months after I left the firm.
All right, give me the approximate
Date,
time.
2022?
I left maybe June, July of 2022, maybe.
Okay, so that would suggest that for, assuming it's 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021,
Yes, say it out.
and half of 2022, which is
Three-
in the vicinity
4
of 4
years.
to 4.5 years, you're testifying under oath you had one conversation about a relationship between Mr. Wade and Miss Willis. Is that correct?
Bring it, Sado. Under oath. Perjury.
I
Disbarment.
don't recall having any other conversation with Mr. Wade about him and Miss Willis.
Take that for what it's worth, as plausible as that is. That was Terrence Bradley's answer. He went from confirming specific details, offering specific information in his text messages to Ashley Merchant when she was preparing the motion to disqualify, to saying, I had no personal knowledge of it. I had no reason to tell you this information. I had no personal knowledge of it. It was speculation. That was the word of the day. I mean, what was that character that Adam Sandler played? The Waterboy guy. Speculation. It was what was it called? The Bayou Man. I forget what his name was. Whatever. It was one of Adam Sandler's classic characters where he ended every word with "tion." Speculation. He said, I had no reason to offer that information. It was just speculation. When I said that they started dating when he was a magistrate judge and not a municipal judge, speculation. I've only had one conversation with him in my entire life. Speculation, not firsthand experience, firsthand knowledge. And then he says, literally, like, yeah, I don't even know why I didn't say I don't know. I don't know why. I just gave you specific information. At one point, though, he did subtly and discreetly testify, confirm that his knowledge of the starting date came not from third-party hearsay, but came from Nathan Wade himself. So, lacking credibility is an understatement. It looked like he was outright threatened. And when you remember what they brought up in the second day of the hearing from a week and a half ago, sexual assault, I have no difficulty believing and accepting that they basically said to Terrence Bradley, you think the paying the $20,000 to settle this was a big deal. You play ball, or we're going to come after you criminally. You've seen what we've done to Donald Trump, Michael Roman, and 18 other defendants who did nothing. Imagine what we're going to do to you, who arguably did something sufficient to warrant you relinquishing $20,000 that you had in escrow at Wade's law firm to pay off this employee. So I have no doubt that he was threatened, intimidated, given the way Nathan Wade was standing there looking at him, and no question. But he basically went through the entire day saying, I can't remember, I do not recall, it was speculation, I don't know why I even said that, and that was it. And his attorneys had no questions in whatever you want to call it, redirect or cross-examination, no questions. And so that's it. Now the question is going to be, what are they going to do with this motion to admit the cell records between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis? Apparently there's going to be a proffer before Friday, and the judge is going to determine how to deal with that evidence and whether or not they need to call witnesses to allow that evidence in. As it's scheduled now, Friday is going to be the closing arguments, and we don't know how they're going to allocate the time to the various defendants, but it was good. It was good. I mean, Ashley Merchant has done her legwork in this. She's done a tremendous amount of work. Some of the questions asked by subsequent attorneys Pretty pointed, but the bottom line, the guy looks like a bold-faced liar. I can't remember. I have no knowledge of this guy. I was business partners with him for years. I was his lawyer for years. I only had one discussion as to when he dated, and when I confirmed the accuracy of that information in the motion to disqualify, I had no reason to do it. It was speculation. Oh, and by the way, at one point he's like trying to, wiggle out of what that motion was for. Oh, I didn't really know what she was going to do with that motion. And the other lawyer, the third one, I forget his name, he's like, the motion was entitled Motion to Disqualify Fani Willis and Nathan Wade and Dismiss the Indictment. You read that title, right? That's a pretty good indication as to what she was doing with that. And so when you offered that information, you knew damn well she was going to file it in court and the accuracy was paramount. No good answer. No good answer, because there is no good answer. We know that he's lying. We know that he's been threatened, intimidated, persuaded to now plead, I don't recall.
You said Mr. Bradley, you said you didn't know what Ms. Merchant was going to be doing with the motion that she sent you. You remember that testimony a few minutes ago?
I think I said I didn't know that. I knew that she was gathering information, yes.
Well, let's look at the title of the motion that she sent you.
Motion to disqualify.
That was sent on the 6th.
Excuse me. Do you remember reading the defendant Michael Roman's motion to dismiss grand jury indictment as fatally defective and motion to disqualify the district attorney, her office,
I
and
saw
the
that
special
later.
prosecutor from further prosecuting this matter?
I don't remember if I saw
Do you remember
that.
seeing that in the draft that you read and reviewed?
Yes.
Oh!
So when you tell this court that you didn't know what she was up or what she was going to do, she kind of gave you a hint, didn't she, in the title of the motion that she sent for you to read?
Kind of. It's a little bit of a hint.
Yes or no?
This is good.
I read the title of what the motion was.
You
There
knew
wasn't
what
anything
she
in the
was
title
doing.
that threw you off. Pretty straightforward speaking title, isn't it?
Correct.
So you knew that what she wanted was information from you so that she could then file a motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment, to motion to disqualify the district attorney and her office
This
and the
is good.
special prosecutor from further prosecuting the matter, right?
I'm gonna object to speculation.
Shut
You
up.
knew that, didn't you?
Overruled.
Yes or no?
When she sent that motion, yes.
Okay. And you knew
The truth.
that the special prosecutor
set you free.
to whom she was referring in that motion
Was Nathan
was
Wade?
Mr. Wade, correct?
Yes.
You knew that.
Yes.
Because you read the motion, you said you reviewed it, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
He, I don't know, had no business colluding with Ashley Merchant in any event. I'm surprised he did it to begin with, but maybe he was a little angry at his former business partners. Who knows? That's where it's at. So Friday's going to be the closing arguments, depending on the outcome of the proffer, on the motion or the evidence now of these cell records, which show that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are big, fat liars. That they, allegedly, when they weren't dating, before the relationship began, before Nathan Wade was given his contract, they were texting something like 12,000 times in an 11-month period, 2,000 phone calls in an 11-month period leading up to November 2021. That Nathan Wade would get on a call with Fani Willis from the cell towers near his place, end up pinging at the cell towers near her place, and got there at 12:35, and then he pinged until 4:55 in the morning when he left, and his cell phone was seen leaving there, going back to his place. Yeah, they're a bunch of liars. I'm sticking with my prediction. They're getting DQ'd. It looks like the judge gets it, and we'll see what happens Friday. That is your mostest, bestest detailed breakdown you're going to get on the interwebs. If you like what I do, Viva Frei on Rumble. The Viva Frei on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. With Robert Barnes, we will be talking about this next Sunday night. Join the community. It's an amazing place. Everyone is above average. And now, after a day like that, I'm going to go make myself a nice dry martini. Peace. It was the Cajun Man. Satisfaction. Speculation. I don't know any other word ending in all. Cajun Man. Classic. All right, back to the video. A conflict of interest.
No penetration.